And now, live, the Domestic Estate Manager Studios in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It's the nation's #1 podcast series in the private service industry. It's time for DEMA Live. Now, here are your hosts, Matt and Mike. Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of DEMA Live. I am your host, Matthew Hack, and today's guest is the 2012 DEMA Convention Master of Ceremonies, International Protocol Expert and Instructor, Mr. Fitzgerald Heslop. Fitzgerald, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Thanks for asking, Matt.
Great. And we're really excited to have you on the show today. We're going to talk with you a little bit about your background, your history, and hopefully have some stories that you can share with us regarding the industry and your background. Also, we were going to be talking a little bit about the 2012 convention and what you view as some of the more exciting things that will be going on at the convention. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Fitzgerald, can you give us a little bit more background about you and how you got started in the industry?
Certainly. I was very fortunate to work with Front Range Training and Consulting as their General AIDS Program Instructor and lead instructor, that is, at one point in time, the program manager. In this capacity, it's my job to train and certify the aides to 3- and 4-star generals in professional household management, a role that I took very seriously, and certainly having served with the students that were a part of this course, learned a phenomenal amount of information about the world of enlisted aides that serve inside the general's homes. I should say here that enlisted aides are authorized for the purpose of relieving generals and flag officers of those minor tasks and details that, if they were to perform them themselves, would be at the expense of their primary military and official duties. That comes from a directive with the Department of Defense that governs the enlisted aid community. I think and I believe that that directive is so reflective of exactly what it is that happens across the world for all those who are entrusted with the responsibility of relieving their principals of those minor tasks and details that truly, if they were to perform them themselves, would be at the expense of what they do in their daily lives and what they set out to do as far as their careers are concerned. So my background comes from hospitality. I was so fascinated as the head concierge for the Hilton in Hartford with the ability to make someone's dream a reality every single night. But a part of that experience is making sure that I knew the service standards that people have come to love and appreciate from 5-star hotels really around the world. The question becomes, how do you take that 5-star level of service that one expects when they arrive at some of the best hotels around the world and apply it into a household setting, to apply it in an estate managerial capacity? And that's where I found my greatest attribute being beautifully displayed in the enlisted aid community, certifying and training the aides to generals to do just that, to provide an elevated level of service so that way business can ultimately be conducted. I should also say one other thing, and that is that I also learned through trial and error, as well as a lot of scar tissue. When you see people showing up at hotels and do not have the appropriate manners, whether they be presidents and CEOs of major corporations, generals of, the Department of Defense, and so forth and so on, everyone does not always have the skills to be able to do things with the right amount of etiquette and protocol. And so I witnessed these things at the front desk, at dining experiences inside the hotel setting, and I said, wait a minute, there's got to be a school to teach you how to conduct oneself in a way that shows the ultimate level of class. And so I journeyed to the Protocol School of Washington to get those skills.
Okay. Well, we're gonna definitely touch on that in a little bit regarding the Protocol School of Washington, because I think it's important that we share some of the experiences that you had while going through that. But before we get to that, I certainly want to talk with you and let the members know exactly why we have selected you as the Grand Master of Ceremonies for the DEMA 2012 convention. And obviously, just listening to you, anyone can tell the passion and the enthusiasm that you have for this industry. You truly do love this industry. And I'm sure that that had a lot to do with the article that was written on you in the Hartford Business Journal, Putting on the Fitz. What was that all about?
When I first began at the Hilton, I wanted to make sure that I introduced myself to the downtown Hartford community professionally. And so I hosted a concierge soiree, which allowed for owners and managers of restaurants, clubs, bars, and spas into the hotel for a martinis, obviously a red and white wine tasting in our presidential suite, as well as a 3-course entree selection in our M&M restaurant, which is currently called right now, so that way they could be able to experience what the hotel had to offer them and to take them through a tour of the hotel in a way that perhaps they would never be able to see the types of rooms that we had available to them. In putting that event together, Jonathan, who was the writer for the Harvard Business Journal at the time, I believe Jonathan is with the Washington Post now, he came to the event that I hand-delivered. I created the invitations and hand-delivered them to all of the people that would be in attendance. That event landed me on the front page of the Harvard Business Journal. The reason why I did that is because I have an unquenchable thirst for providing first-class customer service. And those who share that desire with me, normally we call them ambassadors of service. We are authorized by humanity, not by anybody in particular, not by any government organization, but we consider ourselves to be authorized by humanity to be able to serve people. And we do it not because we can't have that service afforded to ourselves. We do it because there's something to be said about that little penguin outfit that all of us have tucked away somewhere in our closet that's just waiting to come out, to be able to make someone else's experience that much more enriching. So I created this event called the Concierge Soiree in collaboration with the assistant general manager at the Hilton at the time to be able to put on display what we do best, which is provide an elevated level of service, the creation of beautiful moments, to put people at their ease and increase their pleasure.
Okay, awesome. Well, that sounds like a great event, and it sounds like it went off really well, and obviously it landed you the publicity that you were looking for when throwing an event like that. What can you tell our members about the Protocol School of Washington? I know that there's been a little bit of information shared from our side to our members, but coming from someone who's actually attended the school and received a diploma from there, can you tell our members a little bit about the experience that you had there?
Certainly. Before we even arrive at the Protocol School of Washington, one has to have the desire to want to strengthen their professional credentials. And so the only people who go to the Protocol School of Washington are those individuals who recognize the importance of being an operational protocol person, someone who understands that etiquette and good protocol are the final indications of class. The Protocol School of Washington accepts up to 30 people at any given time, trains them to be corporate etiquette, business dining, and international protocol consultants on one end. They deal with professional presence on another end, which is image. And my recent certification in 2011, I journeyed to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, under the patronage of the Protocol School of Washington and the Protocol Department of Dubai to become an international protocol manager. What the Protocol School of Washington does is it truly gives you the confidence and the authority to serve. And not just serve, but serve with distinction. And so I think that under the direction of Pamela Eyring, who is the owner and principal of the Protocol School of Washington, you'll get a chance to meet people from all over the world. My classmates range from the senior vice president of the World Trade Center Dubai, a general's daughter, a Navy SEAL, an ambassador, a number of different people that you would find in being and taking advantage of that opportunity. But most important above all those things was the ability to get the skills that I needed, so that way I didn't end up on a blacklist because I did not know. Like the saying goes, if you knew better, you do better.
Right.
I think the Protocol School of Washington does a phenomenal job of supplying you with the things that you need to do better.
So how does the Protocol School of Washington's diploma, how does that help someone in the home of, for example, let's say a billionaire client who does a lot of catering to foreign dignitaries? How would that help you?
Well, I think it's important, first of all, from understanding that there are all kinds of things that can go wrong in any given situation where you're trying to entertain. And more importantly, when you get to international dignitaries, when you have heads of states, when you have government officials, community leaders, how do you put all these people at the same table, arrange them in a way from a seating arrangement that allows the maximum amount of business to be conducted? How do you make sure that they can eliminate the distractions by being able to conduct business? How do you make sure that people understand that we didn't invite you because we thought you were hungry? We invited you because there's something that we want to accomplish that can only be done when we have observed all the cultural, all the sensitive, and the rights and dignities of people. And the Protocol School of Washington's training equips the individual with the skills that they need in order to make sure that operationally they have done the due diligence to ensure that there is success at the end of every event.
How imperative would you say it is for a private service professional who does work for an employer like that to have them attend the Protocol School of Washington?
Don't kid yourself, folks. Get out there, get the training that you need, get the certifications and the credentials, because one thing is for sure. When you switch from one principal to another, if you're not fortunate enough to remain with your principal over time, these skills are definitely transferable. But the one thing that always stands out is your ability to have the credentials that makes you authentic.
Right, and I think that that's extremely important, and it goes right back to what you said. You wouldn't do what you did if you knew that you shouldn't have done it. And I think that that's where the Protocol School of Washington can certainly help all of us make sure that we don't insult someone by doing the wrong thing, whether it's shaking hands, greeting at doors, all of those little things that you never know you've done wrong until someone actually tells you that you've been doing it wrong all these years.
Correct. Or you make the mistake of watching somebody else. Get your training from watching them, and I'll give you a visual very quickly if I can do it through words. Imagine being the person sitting at the table, and you are sitting there, and there's all kinds of flatware and stemware on the table, and you do not know how to navigate that table. The most important thing is to always know that you shouldn't be the person reaching across to the left of you for stemware. Your stemware is on the right-hand side. You learn that through the BMW, the bread, meal, water, and wine. And if you don't know how to successfully navigate that table, most people won't end up with a BMW because they simply didn't understand that a part of you getting the job, maintaining the business transaction, was you having the skills that lets people know that you really take your image to be of most importance, and the most important investment that you can make is in yourself. That's what I did. And those who try the Protocol School of Washington, as well as other schools out there to enhance those skills, are putting themselves in a better stead.
Perfect. Well, I didn't know that you had a BMW. I wish I had one.
Well, I don't have a BMW, but normally when I sit down in most tables, there's one in front of me.
Gotcha. All right, good. Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming convention. What are some of the things that you're excited about that you would like to see happen at the convention?
The most important thing about the convention is to make sure that we honor people's time and why they've made the investment to come. As the Master of Ceremony, my chief responsibility is to move us through the entire conference and convention, recognizing that we want to maximize the things that we can get out of it. Also, it's the first conference that's held by DEMA, and DEMA has done a phenomenal job of crafting and putting together a conference that is going to blow the industry and take it by storm. As it says, putting our finger on the pulse of the industry. And I tell you, it's beating right now, and it will beat even better once all of us are in the same room with each other talking about the best practices to move the industry forward. And so I think that the highlight of all this will be certainly the award ceremony that honors lifetime achievement. And I'm sure that there'll be more information forthcoming in terms of what we can expect from that. But overall, I think that our goal for the convention, and certainly mine, is to make sure that people have a great time, that we create the atmosphere that allows them to truly be successful, not just at the conference, but points beyond.
Well, and I think that that's it. We're introducing something new to the entire industry. We want it to be the must-attend event in the industry. And I think by bringing people like yourself with the motivation and the passion and the drive that you've exhibited throughout the interview today, I don't think we can miss, to be honest with you. And I think it's something that's been needed for a very long time in this industry, which is a positive, fresh breath of air. And we can all breathe that in at the convention.
I agree. And let me tell you, the people who need to be there will be there. And for those of you who are still on the sidelines here trying to determine whether or not this is an event that you should attend, just wait and see. The best is still yet to come.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. We're truly honored to have you as the Master of Ceremonies for the DEMA 2012 convention, Fitzgerald. I look forward to seeing you again, my friend, and giving you a hearty handshake and getting this thing kicked off in LA. And I'm sure we'll talk again before then. If someone wants to get in touch with you personally and wants to discuss any of the protocol etiquette subjects that are out there that you're knowledgeable about, how can someone do that?
They can contact me through my email account. It's the blkhouse@gmail.com. Again, that's the blkhouse@gmail.com, or they can reach me via my phone number at area code 860-719-0320. Always remember, it is my pleasure to be able to assist in any way that I can, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you that ears hear this message at the DEMA Convention in September of 2012. Matt, as always, it is more my pleasure than anything else to be able to be a participant.
Thank you very much, Fitzgerald. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you again soon, my friend.
Be well.
All right, bye-bye. Well, that'll do it for another installment of the DEMA Live Road to the 2012 DEMA Convention, your insider's introduction to this year's presenters. We look forward to seeing each and every one of our members at this year's convention. Early bird registration is still open, and you can register by going to www.demaconvention.com. Once again, the address, www.demaconvention.com. I've been your host, Matthew Hack, and until next time, remember the Chinese proverb that states, "Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere."